Chapter 1, Crop Production and Management. Children, you all know that plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. But animals, including humans, cannot. But all living things, they need food to get energy to carry out various body functions such as digestion, respiration, excretion. Right? So all these animals and humans, they depend on food either on plants or animals or on both. Now for such huge population, food has to be produced on large scale. Now when the food is produced on large scale, it has to be managed properly and distributed to all. So this is what we are going to study in this chapter. Plants of the same kind grown and cultivated at one place on large scale are called crops. Children, you all know that crops are of different types like cereals, vegetables and fruit. These can be classified on the basis of the season in which they are grown. There are two broad cropping patterns. The first one, the Kharif crop. This crop is grown in rainy season and the time period is between June to September. Example, paddy, cotton, maize, groundnut, soyabean. While on the other hand, rabi crops, they are grown in winter season and their time period is between October to March. Some example, wheat, pea, gram, mustard, linseed. Growing crop on large scale involves several activities which farmers have to carry out over a period of time. These activities or tasks are very similar to those which you carry out when you grow ornamental plants in your house. And these activities or tasks are known as agricultural practice or activities. They include preparation of soil, sowing of seed, adding manures and fertilizers, irrigation process, removing weeds, harvesting, and finally storing the food grain. The first task carried out by the farmer is preparation of the soil. It is known as plowing or tilling. In this process, the soil is turned and loosened, which allows the root to penetrate deep into the soil. The loose soil also allows the roots to breathe easily. The loosened soil, it helps the growth of earthworm and microbes that are present in the soil. You all know that these organisms are friends of farmer since they turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. Loosening of soil also brings the nutrient-rich soil to the top so that the plants can use the nutrients. Before sowing the seeds, it is necessary to break the soil to the size of grain to get better yield. This is done with the help of various tools. The main tool used for this purpose are hoe, plow, and cultivator. Hoe, it is a simple tool. You can see it in the first picture. It's a simple tool which is used for removing the weeds that are the unwanted plants and for loosening the soil. It has a long rod of wood or iron and a strong, broad, bent plate of iron is fixed to one of its end and works like a blade. It is pulled by animals. Now the second picture, if you observe, it's a plow. This is being used since ancient times for tilling the soil, for adding fertilizers, for removing the weeds and all. This is made up of wood and it is drawn with a pair of bull or animals like horse or camel. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called plowshare. The main part of the plow is a long log of wood which is called plow shaft. The other end is attached to the beam which is placed on the bull's neck. One pair of bull and a man can easily operate the plow. The third picture, if you observe, it's a cultivator. Nowadays, plowing is done by the tractor-driven cultivators. The use of cultivator saves labor and time. Now the next step is sowing the seeds, which is again the most important part of crop production. Before sowing, good quality seeds are selected. A good quality seeds are clean and healthy seeds of a good variety. So farmers, they select a very good quality of seed so that they can get a good amount of crop or high yield, right? Now, how do we find out, or how do they find out that the seeds are of good quality? This you can try yourself also with the help of an activity. In this activity, you need to take half a glass of water, and in this water you add some seeds which are available to you, like coriander seeds if you have at home. So you add some seeds into water. The good seeds, they will go and settle down, while the damaged seeds, they will float because they are empty and hollow, right? So this way we can find out that the seeds, whether the seeds are of good quality or they are healthy, and we can separate them from the damaged ones. Now let's see the tools that are used for sowing the seeds. Now if you see this picture, in this picture the traditional method has been shown. In this traditional method, the tool that is being used, it has a funnel which is attached to a long pipe, and this long pipe has sharp ends. Now the seeds are added into this funnel. From the funnel they pass into the pipe, and the sharp end of the pipe then pierce into the soil and place the seeds. While if you see this picture, in this picture the modern method is being shown. In the modern method, a seed drill is being used. This is a seed drill which is used for sowing with the help of a tractor. And this tool sows the seeds uniformly at proper distance and depth, and it ensures that all the seeds are covered with soil so that they are not damaged by the birds. And using this seed drill helps to save time as well as labor. And it's very important that seeds should be placed at proper distance so that every seed gets sufficient sunlight, nutrients and water from the soil. Adding manures and fertilizers. The substance which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manures and fertilizers. So you all know that plants need lot of nutrients. So these nutrients are added into soil by adding either fertilizers or manures. Now, what's the difference between a fertilizer and manure? A fertilizer, it's an inorganic substance. It is obtained from the minerals that are present in the earth crust, and it is prepared in the factory. A fertilizer does not provide humus to the soil, but of course, it is rich in a plant nutrient like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, which are very much required for the growth of the plants. While the manures, they are natural organic substances. They are obtained by the decomposition of dead plants and animals or human waste. They are prepared in the field and they contain a lot of humus. Although these manures are not very rich in plant nutrients. The use of fertilizer has helped farmers to get better yield of crops at times such as wheat, paddy, maize, etc. But excessive use of fertilizers has made the soil less fertile. Fertilizers also become a source of water pollution. Therefore, in order to maintain the fertility of soil, the farmers substitute fertilizers by manure. The use of manure improves soil texture as well as its water retaining capacity. It replenishes the soil with the nutrients. It helps in the growth of friendly microbes. Another method to get back the nutrients into the soil is through crop rotation. This can be done by growing different crops alternatively. Earlier, farmers in northern India, they used to grow leguminous plant in one season and wheat in the next season. Children, you all know that in leguminous plant, rhizobium bacteria is present in the nodules of their roots, and this bacteria fixes atmospheric nitrogen. When these leguminous plants are grown, the soil becomes rich in nitrogen, which is a very important nutrient for the growth of the plant. Children, you all know that water is very important for all living beings. Plants, they also need water. In fact, plant contains nearly 90% of water. They need water for proper growth and development. Water is absorbed from the soil by the roots, and all the fertilizers, minerals, they dissolve in water and they get transported to each part of the plant. Water also protects the crop from frost and hot air current. So, the soil in which the crops are growing and for the healthy growth of the crops, the soil should contain enough water. So, the soil or the field has to be watered regularly. The supply of this water to crops at different interval is called irrigation. The time and frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, from soil to soil, and from season to season. So it depends on that what kind of a crop is growing, how much water it requires, what is the quality of the soil, and of course the season. In summers, you know that frequency of watering is high because during summer the rate of evaporation is high. So water easily gets evaporated from the plants and the soil. So more amount of water has to be added during summers. Different sources from where farmers get water for irrigation are lake, canals, well, ponds, tube wells, dams. Farmers use different methods to bring water from these sources to the field. Some of the traditional methods are moat, also known as pulley system. In this method, water is taken from well with the help of pulley. It is very time consuming method. The second one, chain pump method. In this method, two wheels are connected with chain. Buckets are attached to the chain, and as the wheel rotates, buckets pick up water from the source. The third one, Dhekli. In this method, water is taken out from well or any other source with the help of bucket, which is tied to one end of a log with the help of a rope, while to the other end a heavy stone is tied to counterbalance it. The fourth one, the Rahat system. In this method, water is drawn from well by animals like cow, ox, etc. When animals move, the wheel rotates and draws water from the source. These methods are time-consuming methods and less efficient as human and animals are used, but they are less expensive. Now, modern methods of irrigation which uses water economically. The first method, the sprinkler system. It is used where the land is uneven. It has perpendicular pipes to which rotating nozzles are attached at the top. All these pipes are then attached to the main pipeline. So when water is allowed to flow through the main pipe under pressure with the help of pump, water escapes from these rotating nozzle and it gets sprinkled on the crop as if it is raining. Second method, the drip system. In this method, water falls drop by drop just at the position of the roots. So it is called the drip system. This system provides water to plant drop by drop, and here water is not wasted at all. It is very useful where the availability of water is very poor. Now the next task is weeding. Where the crops are grown, a lot of undesirable plants start growing naturally. These undesirable plants are called weeds. The weeds have to be removed as they compete with the crop plant for water, nutrient, space, and light. Thus, they affect the growth of the crop. Some weeds also interfere in the harvesting and may be poisonous for animals and human beings. Farmers use different methods to remove weeds. Tilling before sowing of crops, it helps in uprooting and killing of weeds. So when the seeds are sown and if tilling is done properly, then weeds are removed and these weeds dry up and they get mixed with the soil. And the best time of removal of weed is before they produce flowers and seeds. Farmers use khurpi to uproot these weeds and seed drill is also used. Weeds are also controlled by using certain chemicals called weedicides like 2,4-D, where D stands for dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. These chemicals are sprayed in the field to kill the weeds. They do not damage the crop, but of course, farmers have to be very careful. They should cover the mouth and nose with a piece of cloth. Crops mature after 3 to 4 months, and once they mature, they need to be harvested. So the cutting of crops after it is mature is called harvesting. In harvesting, crops are pulled out or cut close to the ground. Harvesting is done either manually by sickle or it is done by machine called harvester. In the harvested crop, the grain seeds need to be separated from the chaff. This process is called threshing. This is carried out with the help of a machine called combine, which is in fact a combined harvester and a thresher. Farmers also use winnowing method to separate the grains and the chaff. After harvesting the crop grains, they need to be stored. They need to be kept for a longer period of time, so they should be safe from moisture, from insects, from rats and microorganisms. Children, you all know that fresh crops, they contain a lot of moisture. So before storing them, they need to be dried in the sun so that the moisture content is reduced. If the moisture is not reduced, then they will be easily attacked by microorganisms and other small insects. Farmers use different methods to store their food grains. They store it in jute bags, in metallic bins, in silos. Silos are the long towers in which they keep their food grains. Granaries, these are the storehouse or the rooms in which the food grain is stored. Sometimes at home, people use neem leaves for storing the grains. So as crops provide us food, animals also provide us food. We get milk, we get egg. People living in the coastal area, for them fish is the major part of their diet. So as the crops are grown, proper care is taken for the growth of the crop so that we get healthy crops. Similarly, animals are also reared at home or in farms. They are provided with proper food, proper shelter, and lot of care is taken. And when it is done on the large scale, it is called animal husbandry.